Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophets Speak. Today we continue our study of Sefer Mishlei, the book of Proverbs. We stopped in the middle of chapter 10. We are about to read verse 17 in chapter 10. There was no natural stopping point, but due to the length of the chapter, I had to split it in half, so I just stopped at the halfway part. This chapter, for those that have been studying with us the first part, is really a discussion of, it's a collection of proverbs, of course, of statements comparing the wise person and the good and the benefits of being a wise person, and in some cases descriptions of how a wise person lives versus the fool, the wise person who chooses understanding, who chooses the path of righteousness versus the person who chooses the path of wickedness and the path of arrogance. So in verse 17, Orach L'chaim, a path for life. What is a path that would lead to life, to good life? Is Shomer Musar, a person who is concerned about and takes seriously criticism. This is a very crucial point. Being able to take constructive criticism, not as a personal attack, but to take it in such a way that you absorb it and improve yourself, take it as something positive, that is a pathway to life. However, v'ozev tochachas, a person who ignores criticism, mat'eh, will turn in the wrong way, will be mistaken, he will go down the wrong path. So learning, being humble enough to accept criticism is crucial. Verse 18, Mechasesin sifsei shaker. A person who has hatred in his heart, but pretends to not hate, speaks falsely, umotse diba huksil, and a person who spreads stories is a fool. Because these two statements are obviously related and one continuous of the first one. Because a person who hates someone but doesn't want to show it, he lies and then he makes up a story and says bad things about the other person that aren't necessarily true. And in order, it's not, I don't have anything against the guy, but I don't have any hatred in my heart. But he makes up a story. Birov devarim lo yechtal posha. There is in the person that speaks a lot. In general, the person who is trying to cover something up, the person who is the Rasha, the person who is lying, is constantly speaking, constantly saying something else in order to cover up something else, constantly trying to control the conversation, control the narrative by talking and talking and talking. So liyecht al pesha, there's never a want, never a lack of negligence, of transgression in a person who constantly talks and doesn't stop. But the person who is wise is a person who is chosech sifasav, who guards his lips, and only says the appropriate things at the appropriate times. Kesef nivchar l'shon tzadik. The tongue of a righteous person is like choice silver. It's refined, it's special, it's rare. He speaks only when it's proper and appropriate. Ve'avilim, however, fools, b'chasar leiv, because they don't have understanding, yamusu, they will die. In other words, all this will lead to destruction and death if they continue their pathways of falsehood and trying to talk and make up stories about others to cover up for their own faults. Birchat Adonai hi ta'ashir. The blessings of God, that is what makes someone wealthy. V'lo yosif etzev ima. And such a person, right, will not have etzev along with it. He will not have worry, constant worry. Because when someone gets wealthy, when someone has something because he achieved it in a dishonest and inappropriate manner, he's constantly worried that he's going to lose it, it's going to be taken away. But a person who achieved his wealth and has what he has honestly and properly is not worried that such things will happen. He's not worried that he's going to get caught. He's not worried he's going to get found out. Verse 23, Kischok l'ksil asos zima. For the seal, for the fool, doing wicked things, doing crooked things is like a game. He doesn't take it seriously. He thinks it's a joke. But on the flip side, wisdom is the way a person acts when he is a person of understanding. Megoras rasha hi tivoenu, right? The fear of the wicked, the fear that a wicked person has, that is what is going to come upon him, right? Because he's constantly afraid that something bad's going to happen, that he's going to get found out, he's going to get caught, and that is what the end result is going to be. He's going to suffer for his dishonesty. V'tavas tzadikim yitain, but the desire of the righteous person will be given. So the righteous person who desires to live an honest and upright life and wants to live properly and honestly, he will be granted what he hopes for. Whereas the flip side, the fear and the anxiety within which the wicked person lives will also be what he will get. He will get exactly what he was afraid of. Verse 25, Ka'avor sufa, when the storm passes, when the difficulty comes, when the trouble comes, v'ein rasha. The wicked person, has no ability to get through it, no wherewithal, no fortitude to survive the troubles. However, v'tzadik yisod olam, the tzaddik, the righteous person, is like a foundation of the world. He's solid, he stands. No matter how stormy things get in life, he's able to stick with it. He's able to make it through. Kachometz l'shinayim v'ch'ashan l'einayim, kein ha'atzel l'sholchav. A lazy person, to those who send him on a quest, if someone sends a messenger, sends somebody to do something, or hires someone to do a task, the lazy person is to those that sent him, those who are relying upon him, like vinegar to the teeth and like smoke in the eyes. In other words, instead of accomplishing, he just causes trouble. He makes problems. Because he doesn't achieve what he was sent to achieve, he doesn't do what he was supposed to do. Yiras Adonai Tosif Yamim, having fear and awe of God, right? Being humble, understanding our place in this world. Tosif Yamim will add days to your life. Ushinos Rasha Tiktzorna, but the years of the wicked will be cut short. They make so many enemies, they make so many problems for other people that eventually it's going to come back to haunt them and cut their life short. Tocheles tzadikim simcha, the hope. This verse 28 here is contrasting two different types of hope. What is the hope of a tzaddik, of a righteous person? He's hoping for things that bring happiness, hoping for things. That's his hope. That's what what he's striving for, is happiness, is joy, is love. V'tikvas rishoim, but the hope of the rasha, right, that he should be wealthy on everyone else's expense, toved, it shall eventually be destroyed, shall eventually be lost. In other words, what he's hoping for is dishonest. What he's hoping for is selfish, and therefore what he's hoping for he will never achieve. Verse 29, Ma'oz latom. A tam is a person who walks perfect with God. Yaakov ish tam. Jacob was a person who walks with God the way he's supposed to, in perfection, without question, constantly always doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. That for him the way of God is ma'oz, is a source of strength. For him, the relationship with God, the relationship with morality, the relationship with proper ethics, the relationship with living right, living properly, that's a ma'oz. That's a source of strength for him. He's able to go to bed every night knowing I'm walking on the proper path and feel strong and feel good about himself. Umechita, however, the way of God is mechita, it brings ruin lefo'aleyav to those who sin, those who do sin. What does that mean? Because that is the way of God, right? The way of God is that if you sin, if you do it, if you act selfishly, if you're arrogant, mechita, then what your result will be, mechita, will be fear, will be terror and ruin. Tzaddik la'olam bal yimot, a righteous person will never waver, will never slip from the proper path, right? He will never move off the path. The Risham lo yishkin. Why? Because he's a tzaddik. He's righteous. He will always make the right choice. He will always stay on the path. The Rishaim, however, wicked people, lo yishkinu eretz, they will not inherit the land, right? Why? Because They constantly have to devise new tricks to get away with the new lies, the new schemes, the new plots that they're trying to accomplish and achieve. And because of that, they're never going to be able to rest. They'll never be able to be shochein, to rest on the land, because they're constantly needing to come up with some other new devious way to cheat other people. Pid tzadik yonov chachma. And again, so many times we emphasized speech and the way people talk, and how the wicked person is constantly has to cover up for his vile ways, cover up for his lies, and cover up for his own deficiencies. But a pid tzaddik, the mouth of a righteous person, Yonov Chachma, is constantly giving forth Chachma, wisdom. When he speaks, he's speaking something wise, he's saying something important, he's saying something we can learn from. However, Ulishon tapuchos tikares, but the tongue that is constantly being duplicitous, constantly making up stories, constantly saying one thing and then saying another and then contradicting himself, because he constantly has to cover up for his evil ideas, tikares, that will eventually be cut off. Such a tongue will be cut off. Sifsei tzaddik yedu'un ratzon, the lips of a tzaddik, the lips of a righteous person, yedu'un ratzon, they know how to speak in a way of ratzon, in a way to bring about peace among people. Ratzon, say the right thing at the right time in the right place. Ratzon, in this context, means to say acceptable, proper things to people. He's always the person that knows what to say to calm the situation down. However, Ufi Rishaim, the mouth of the wicked people, Tapuchos, is constantly lying, is constantly being duplicitous, is constantly cheating, is constantly saying things that he wants to say for his own benefit, but not things that will help the situation, but things that make it worse. This concludes verse 32, which ends chapter 10. Thank you so much for studying this together with me, studying this wonderful book of Mishlei. Looking forward to studying chapter 11 and, of course, the remainder of this beautiful book together. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.